Good morning, students. Today we'll discuss about evaluation of computing devices and also the types of computers. Earlier we have discussed about the introduction to computer, then data processing concept, data processing systems, etc. In this session, we will learn about how different devices were evaluated for computing. In fact, the computer that we use today is the result of man's long search for a device to help in performing computations. The search dates back to the 17th century. A series of scientific breakthroughs by many persons have contributed to produce this electronic machine. So, when we think about the evaluation of computing devices, you know the word computer is derived from the word compute, which means to calculate or compute. So, if we look back at the history of computers, it can be traced back to 2000 BC. The Stone Age man used a small round stones or pebbles for counting cattle. But the history of computing can be traced with the development of device called abacus in 2000 BC by the Chinese. So the abacus was the first mechanical device used to add, subtract, multiply and divide numbers. In fact, abacus consisted of beads that could slide over wires. Further, the wire represented columns and rightmost column represented units, next column for tens, then 100 and so on. So, by moving appropriate beads, one could represent various numbers. Then in 1642, a Frenchman named Blaise Pascal developed the first mechanically operated device known as Pascal's machines basically. The device consists of wheels which were dialed to enter numbers, and these numbers were transformed to a result. This machine could perform only addition and subtraction. In spite of this limitation, Pascal's machines was considered as a major achievement for future development. In fact, before Blaise Pascal's machine, in 1617, John Napier developed a device which is called Napier's bones. With the help of this device, multiplication and addition were possible. Then in 1671, Gottfried Leibniz improved Pascal's machine, and these machines could also multiply and divide numbers apart from normal operation like addition and subtraction. After that, in 1804, Joseph Maria Jacquard developed an automatic weaving system. that used punch cards to direct the weaving pattern. This was the first known device to use instruction on card with punch holes to the operation of a machine. In fact, after observing his father, Joseph Maria Jacquard, making different weaving pattern on the loom, he thought of storing these patterns for future use. So he developed a plate with multiple holes to control the weaving patterns, not knowing that one day his idea of storing the weaving patterns would be used to store data and would be called the punch card. A punch card is a thin rectangular card divided into 80 columns and 12 rows, in which the various characters could be represented by punching holes in different rows and columns. On one card, it is possible to punch 80 characters, one character per column. Thus, it is possible to store 80 characters of data. And punch card is the basic input devices in those times. Now, around 1822, Charles Babbage, a professor of mathematics at the Cambridge University, proposed a machine, an automatic calculating machine called difference engine, and after that he called analytical engine. And Charles Babbage is referred to as the father of computers. In fact, the Babbage machines could perform arithmetic operation for any mathematical problems on data read in form of punch card. Babbage machine provided a base for the modern computer. That is why Charles Babbage is known as the father of computer. In this machine, it had the facilities for input, storage, calculation, and output. Now, the next significant invention came from Dr. Herman Hollerith. Hollerith built a computer to analyze the census data of the United States of America in 1890. This computer was electromechanical and was named the census machine or Hollerith statistical tabulator. Using this machine, Hollerith announced the results of the census as compared to 7.5 years when the processing was done manually. Herman Hollerith founded a company named the Computing Tabulating Recording Company, which today is the IBM Corporation. This is a very important point. Means IBM Corporation right now, earlier named as the Computing Tabulating Recording Company. In 1934, Howard Elkin built the first fully electromechanical computer named Mark I. And Mark I was realization of Babbage's dream long after the death. Then in 1945, a significant contribution was made by John von Neumann, a Frenchman working for IBM. He designed the basic structure of a computer to include the capacity to perform logical functions, perform repetitive functions, store data and instructions in the memory. And in 1946, the first fully electronic general purpose computer was developed by John Perasper Eckert, famous as J.P. Eckert, and John Walter Mauchly, means John W. Mauchly, at Murray School of Engineering of the University of Pennsylvania, called ENIAC. That means ENIAC was the first fully electronic general purpose computer developed in 1946. ENIAC stands for Electronic, Numerical, Integrator and Calculator. Means the above three capacities, that is perform logical functions, perform repetitive functions and store data and instructions. The major capacity also form the major differences between a calculator, which is also used for calculations, and a computer, because calculator cannot perform logical functions and computer perform logical functions also, and also the repetitive functions. So these three capacities also form the major differences between a calculator and computer. The computer has built-in logic, the capacity to make a selection. Logic means some rational thinking, like 2 is bigger than 1. And also the computer is capable of iteration or repetition. Suppose you have to calculate interest for 100 fixed deposit accounts. In a computer, the instructions are stored only once, and these instructions can be executed automatically any number of times. And finally, the data and instructions can be stored and retrieved using the computer. So, this is the contributions of John Newman. So, these three basic capacity means perform logic functions, perform repetitive functions, and store data and instructions is the major advantage of computer. Now, when we think about the ENIAC was large machine consisting of 18,000 vacuum tubes weighing 30 tons and occupying 1500 square feet of space. It had the capacity to do in 300 multiplications per second, making in 300 times faster than the other machine of that era. After the development of ENIAC in 1949, another electronic computer was developed as named EDSAC. EDSAC stands for Electronic Delay Storage Automatic Calculator. And then in 1951, the world's first commercial data processing machine was developed by Universal Accounting Company, which they named UNIVAC. UNIVAC stands for Universal Automatic Calculator. And this computer was used by the US Council for President election. So students, in such a way, different computing devices were developed. Now you just listen this video carefully and makes the note of each evolution of computing device separately. Student, after evolution of computing device, we just focus about types of computers. There are different types of computers depending on the functions they perform, and they are digital computer, then analog computer, and hybrid computer. In fact, this is the classifications of computer based upon their purposes and functions. Although computers can also be classified with their size, but today we just discuss about the types of computers depending on the functions they perform. First one is digital. Digital, when we think about digital words makes from the word digit all. In fact, these are computers that work on discrete data. Discrete data means directly counting numbers, letters, or special symbols. These are commonly used for general purpose or special purpose such as business application. General purpose computers means a computer designed to solve a wide range of problems. Majority of digital computers are of this type. And the special purpose computer means a computer that is designed to perform a specialized task. The instructions to perform this task are permanently stored in the computer. For example, cash register, STD billing machine, or artificially intelligent computers are also some special purpose computers. So, digital computers means the computer that work on discrete data, that is directly counting numbers, letters, or special symbols by say to yes or no, means in off and on stage, or true or false state. Then the another one is analog computer. These are the computers that work on continuous data measured along a continuous scale. That means measured physical quantities such as pressure, temperature, length, etc., and convert them to numeric values. These computers are used mainly for scientific and engineering purpose because they deals with quantities that vary constantly. For example, a thermometer does not perform any calculation but measures the temperature of the body by comparing the relative expense. So, you must follow the digital and analog computers. Digital means on discrete way, and analog computer means work on continuous way. You just use the watch. One is the digital watch you see, and another one is the analog watch. Then you find the difference between digital and analog. And last one is hybrid computer. In fact, these computers are the combined features of both digital and analog computers. For example, an analog device measures a patient vital sign like temperature, heart functions. These are then converted to numbers and supplied to the digital components that monitor the patient vital signs. So in such a, the combined feature of digital and analog computers is known as hybrid computer. So students, in this session you have learned about the evolution of different computing devices, and also the types of computer, that is digital, analog and hybrid. So in this session, thank you very much and have a nice day.